Okay, so is the woman that's identified as Katie, is that Katie Bansett, the petitioner?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Okay. And then Chris Bansett, you're the respondent. Okay, and you're Miss Cross?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, so Miss Cross, are you going to have anybody testify?
No, we have a proposed proposed temporary orders from the last hearing and income withholding order. I submitted those to Mr. Anderson on September 30th of 2022. I've received no objections to the form of the orders that were sent to him.
Okay, let me see. Let's see if that's in file. So now we heard that, and Mr. Bansett, if you could unmute.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so we heard that you had discharged Mr. Anderson. So is that still the case?
Yes, sir. Also, unfortunately, today is the first day in which I've seen the proposed temporary order. It was never provided to me. That's not the fault of Katie or Ms. Cross. I think that it just never made its way from my attorney's office for me to review. There were only a few things within the temporary order that I would like to discuss whenever it's my time to speak.
Let me see, I got the file. I'm looking for it. I hope it's not sitting in the clerk's office.
If you'd like us to go ahead and send another copy to you, Your Honor, I'd be happy to do so.
Could you email one?
I sure can. Do you want me to send it to the CCL address?
Tell what we're gonna have the coordinator tell you where to send it. So go ahead and
Please send it to CELOZANO@austincounty.com.
Yes, ma'am. I will do that as we speak.
yeah, so I'm guessing it got sent to Mr. Anderson and then to Mr. Bansett, and then I don't know if the clerk got one, they didn't print it and it's not in the file. Well, okay, so if you'll email that, and as soon as we get that, I'll come back to you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm just gonna mute everybody until we're ready. Okay, sorry it took so long. Okay, so I have now, guess Miss, that's. Oh. Okay, so I got Miss Cross, I have what's filed for your temporary orders.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then I guess Mr. Banzett, if you'd unmute for a minute.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so have you talked to Miss Cross first to say anything about the issues you have?
I did not, and some of them are not necessarily issues. It's just questions, and because this is a continuation of the court hearing back from September.
Let's see first what, okay, these are all have page numbers on them. So what page are you talking about? And I can tell you, Mr. Banzett, what we're here today is we had a hearing back in September. And so I made a ruling, and then so Miss Cross has typed this up. So the main issue is going to be, is there something in her order that's different from what happened on September 26th?
Yes, sir, there are.
Okay, if it's not just that you don't like it, it's that there's something different. Okay.
No, sir.
So what's the first page you're talking about?
I didn't break it down by page numbers. I apologize. I do have it broken down by topic.
Okay, just so we can all find it.
Let me try to find it for you. The first one you may not even have to look up. It's in reference to the child support in September. It was increased from 600 to 800. And it was supposed to start on 1 October. When I was looking over the temporary order, it looks as though the child support payments are supposed to be like an allotment that goes directly to the state, looks like, and then is provided to Katie. I have made both of the payments for 1 October and 1 November, but I made them directly to Katie because I didn't know about the allotment thing. I don't know if that's something that gets set up after this gets signed. And then I had some questions about how that happens. It looks like there's some forms towards the end of the document that are kind of like filled out. It looks like it goes to the employer for them to kind of withhold some of my pay that gets provided automatically to the state. I guess the question is that something that I initiate, or is that something that the court provides to my employer and that they do for me?
Okay, so if you want to look, let's look at page 17.
Let me get it pulled up, Your Honor.
It looks like the child support obligation starts on page 16, I think, Your Honor.
Yeah. Well, and I think Mr. Banzett was asking about a withholding order. And so on page 17, it says the clerk will cause a certified copy of the withholding order to be delivered to his employer. So is there a withholding order that's built into this temporary order?
There is a separate income withholding order that was sent along with the proposed agreed temporary or proposed temporary orders, Your Honor.
Okay.
And the employer is the Defense Finance and Accounting Service.
Okay. So Mr. Banzett, here is, and I had it here. This
Yes,
is if you can see, it's the income withholding order.
Yes, sir.
And so this says it's $800 a month.
Yes, sir.
And so I'd sign this. This would be sent to DFAS-HGACL. And then they would know to withhold $800, and they send it to the withholding unit. It's the address in San Antonio. I'm sure it's in here. And then they forward that to Ms. Banzett.
So one question that I have is, since that hasn't occurred yet, and I've made the payments for October and November, and I'm assuming I'm probably going to have to pay Katie directly for December as well. Do I get credit for those? Because I'm concerned that if it gets sent into DFAS and it says, oh, it needs to start from this date, they might back withhold and take from previous months as well. So I just want to make sure that when they start it, that it kind of starts from the time that I wasn't paying Katie directly.
Yeah. And so tell me again, the months that you paid directly.
So I've been paying Katie child support since we've separated. But the 800 that was ordered started on 1 October. I was paying 600 a month prior to that. So I paid 800 on 1 October and 800 on 1 November. And with it being close to December and the holidays, and I can imagine it's already past the point where DFAS will make pay adjustments in time for 1 December. I just want to make sure, one, that I get credit for what I've already paid, and two, that Katie doesn't have a delay in the money that she gets for Emma.
Let's first find the page where it says the amount and the date, and we can probably.
That's on page 16, Your Honor, and we acknowledge receipt of the child support payments for October and November. And
Okay.
if Mr. Banzett wants to make the payment directly for December, we would have no problem after her receipt of the December payment, changing the start date to January.
Okay, so that's on page 16, right about here.
Yes, sir.
That's October. So I can change that to, again, January 1st, 2023. And then you make the December payment directly to her.
Yes, sir.
And also for Mr. Banzett's awareness, DFAS won't do a retroactive on that, so.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I just wasn't aware.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets funky with military pay. They'll take money faster than they give it. So.
And don't pay it back when it's an overpayment.
That is very true. They're like the mafia. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. All right. What's the next thing you had, Mr. Banzett?
Yes, ma'am. Or yes, Your Honor, that was all that I had in regards to child support. The next thing was the debts. Back in September, I want to say September 26th, I believe, was the last court hearing. We had discussed, essentially my stance was to try to ask Katie be responsible for half of the debt that we incurred while we were together. I think Katie's stance was that she didn't want to be responsible for any. So we had a disagreement there. It was ordered that I provide some more information on terms of how the debts were accumulated.
Yes.
I provided that information to my attorney, but I feel like there's been some disconnect between my attorney and stuff. So I don't know if Ms. Cross or Katie have received that document. That is unfortunate. I sent that email back on the 7th of October based on when the court said that I had to have that sent in by to my attorney.
Let me just find out. So Ms. Cross, have you gotten that information?
Unfortunately, I don't know. We've received nothing regarding Mr. Banzett's death.
And I apologize if I feel like that's kind of been the trend with working with Mr. Anderson. I haven't received a lot of information that Ms. Cross has sent to him. And it looks as though Ms. Cross hasn't received information that I've sent to him. So,
well, Mr. Banzett, did you have that information? Was that in a Word document or something that you could?
So, yes, sir. It was the Word document with kind of a summary, and then I provided supporting documentation as well. Yes, sir.
Can you forward that to Ms. Cross?
I can forward the email. Absolutely. I can forward the one that I sent to the attorney.
Right.
As well.
Well,
So
I was just going to ask if Mr. Banzett had any other communication in that email to Mr. Anderson that was attorney-client communication. I don't want to breach that.
No, ma'am. It was just specifically the breakdown of the debts. There was nothing because I figured it would go to you as well. I just kind of focused solely on that.
Right, so do you have Ms. Cross's email?
I do not, but I do have the email pulled up. So let me forward it, and I can forward it. I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, it's my first name, Carol, C-A-R-O-L-E, at Carol, same spelling, crosslaw.com.
So I have Carol at Carol Cross, C-R-O-S-S, correct?
Yes.
Law, L-A-W.com.
And
Correct.
there's an E at the end of Carol.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
I have that as well.
2 times.
So here is I just sent it over to you, Ms. Cross.
I think that Mr. Banzett's question was the amount, and in your ruling, Your Honor, you said there were two accounts that you focused on, the Military Star Card, and my notes reflect that the payment was $100.48, and Capital One was 141 even. And then you said the total would be 130, but then you said that she was to reimburse half of that. And if I misunderstood when you said half, then that may be where Mr. Banzett is concerned, because
So-
I put in the order on page 29, number 2 at the bottom of the page, payment of $65 per month based on when you said half of that. So if you intended that it be more than that, maybe that's what Mr. Banzett's thinking, but your words I wrote down as you spoke, so.
And yeah,
Uh-huh.
I remember, and I can, my notes, for that hearing are all these numbers and,
They look like mine, Your Honor.
yeah, and so things were a little
I
unclear.
do believe the intent was for 130 to be paid by Katie, and I know that it was written 65. That's not my concern.
Okay.
I believe it was an honest mistake, and that's not what I'm here. Katie definitely paid me the 65 that was written in the temporary order by Ms. Cross. The question that I have was, I guess I was charged with providing a breakdown of debt so that we can determine how the entirety of the debt was to be divided between Katie and I. As a temporary order is currently written, it's showing that she will pay essentially half of Capital One and Military Star. And that was only a temporary kind of assigned until I could provide more information, which I provided to my attorney. Unfortunately, never made it to Ms. Cross and Katie. But I would like to, if possible, maybe discuss and maybe hopefully come to a final decision on how we want to go about dividing the debt, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, would it be, I guess, first, Ms. Cross, have you received that email?
Let me check, Your Honor.
I tried to label everything so that hopefully it's pretty easy.
I have it. I'm going to forward that to my client as well. It looks like there's a few attachments, so.
There are, the Word document is kind of the summary of everything, and then I provided supporting documents as well. And then some of the debts were so old, I wasn't able to pull a lot of information on. And you'll see in the notes that that I kind of acknowledge that. And all I'm asking for, Your Honor, is just just a fair division of the debts that we incurred together while we're married. Whether it's 50, 40, 30, I mean, however that kind of shakes out in the end, anything would be better than nothing, Your Honor.
Yeah, well, and since this is a temporary order, it doesn't finally resolve any debt. I'm just going to hold this. If you look at page 30 of the decree, can you see that, Mr. Banzett?
I have to pull it back up.
Now, let me just hold it up.
I have like a whole bunch of tabs pulled up
Okay.
right now.
Okay, let me just
I
hold
have it
this.
right here. Said page 30, Your Honor.
Yes.
Let me see. I'm on page 30, Your Honor.
Okay, so the thing I just want to point out is under this temporary order, it says you're to pay, there's a number 1 there, the minimum monthly payments on the following, and then it lists A, B, C, D, E, F. So,
Yes, sir.
So that won't, again, I have to go back and look at my notes and figure amounts, but that's not going to take care of the entire debt. This is just kind of, holding pattern to make sure that the monthly minimums get paid until either y'all agree on everything or we have a final trial.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that clarification. Also, since you're on that page as well, I do want to make a note to Ms. Cross and to you, Your Honor, that the Omni financial loan has been paid in full.
Okay. Well then, and the way it would work is, since it says here, you'd make the minimum payments. The first one is Omni. If there is no if it's paid off, then there's nothing to pay.
Mhm.
Yes, Your Honor. I just wanted to let Ms. Cross know that that was not one of the debts that needs to be considered any further, as
Yeah.
that has been paid in full by me.
Yeah, and those updates with, balance amounts and all that, that's the type of information that'll have to be exchanged between Mr. Banzett and Ms. Cross to figure out when we get to a final, what's the amount that's still owed and how it's going to be divided up. The purpose of temporary orders is just to kind of keep something moving along until we get to a final. So
Yes, sir, I understand.
yeah, I mean, I can tell you my thinking again was here when you're supposed to pay, again, this minimum is just to keep these from going into defaults.
Yes, sir. And I've made all the minimum payments.
Yeah.
And I believe the court also instructed that neither party was to incur any additional credit card debt. So that would, be consistent with that same thought.
That is correct. And I have not incurred any further debt.
Okay. Was there another section, Mr. Banzett?
So the only other thing, so I think we kind of touched everything on the debt. The only other thing is that I have two other requests. So the first one is if I'm assuming that we're not going to be able to finalize the divorce prior to 9 December, because that's going to be a quick turnaround.
It just depends how quickly you and Ms. Cross agree on all the numbers. Either, if you agree on all the numbers, we could work it in before December 9th.
Okay.
And
if
would
that's
the court,
possible.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Mr. Benzett, would the court require an in-person prove up on that or an affidavit? My client is the petitioner and she is local. So, I can tell Mr. Banzett that I will certainly move heaven and earth to help the parties facilitate an agreement. It would have been helpful had we gotten the required initial disclosures from Mr. Anderson. So I think some of the documents that might have been helpful in moving the case forward would have already been provided.
Right. So and to answer Ms. Cross's question, either Ms. Banzett, can physically come to the courthouse, or we could do another little Zoom, just to prove up the divorce, to prove it up. Mr. Banzett, you ask a series of about 15, 20 questions to prove it up, and then you have a document that backs everything up. And so if there's a document that at the end of the day, on the last page, has everybody's signatures, that's agreed to, we can get you in before December 9th.
Yeah, so the reason I asked about that is because, so I do have my date. I'm leaving on the 12th of December for Africa. So, and obviously while I'm deployed, I'm not going to be able to attend court hearings, or I'm going to be dealing with, all the things that come with a lovely deployment. So, so I would like to, I know Katie and I have talked before. Katie and I are both on the same page that we wish this was already done. And it's been kind of a process for both of us. If there's a way that we can reach a resolution prior to 9 December, and we can get this thing finalized, I know that I would imagine Katie would agree with me that we are both probably on the same page that we would like to get that accomplished. But if not, then I would need to postpone any further hearings, and I guess we would have to kind of put it on hold until I return.
Right. And the law is set up if people are on deployment, we understand that. So if you and Ms. Cross can exchange numbers, and if she said she's willing to try to move heaven and earth to get it done, and I'll be here, and I can sure sign it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And then I guess that answers my last question, which is, since I'm no longer being represented by an attorney, any correspondence, Ms. Cross, if you could just send to me directly, I'll exchange contact information. And if there's anything you ever need from me, I'll make sure I send that to you directly as well.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And Mr. Anderson had submitted an order to be discharged. So if, Ms. Cross, you can feel confident that Mr. Anderson's not on the case, and that you can deal directly with Mr. Banzett.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, and that was by my request, Your Honor, as
Okay,
well.
yeah. Okay, so is, to help speed things up, is there any benefit of Mr. Banzett and Ms. Cross staying in communication now and
I'm happy to go to a breakout room with Ms. Cross if that's what she would like, Your Honor. It's up to her.
Sure, I'd be willing to do so.
Okay, and do you want Ms. Banzett there also?
She can be there as well if she would like to be. It's up to Ms.
Katie,
Cross.
do you feel comfortable coming in as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And so then procedurally, I don't know if we have any other requested changes or questions by Mr. Banzett on the temporary orders or if they're ready to be signed.
Everything else seemed good in terms of the custodial, the way it was written. I agree with everything else that was in there. I just had a couple questions on the things that we discussed.
Okay, so I'll sign that. And then, so Mr. Banzett, this will be the temporary order. And then you just want to work out any of the details from today to the final. And like I said, if you can get that done and next week, I'm happy to do it.
Well, hopefully we can, Your Honor, because I'm sure we would like to put this behind us and move forward with our lives.
Okay, so I don't know if you're going to need to come back out of a breakout room or not, because I may go back into my office, but can have all three of you, Mr. Banzett, Ms. Cross, and Ms. Banzett, all go into a breakout room. My suggestion is that y'all stay there and talk about things until you're done. If you need me back for some reason, Mr. Banzett or Ms. Cross, do you have my office number?
I do not, Your Honor. But if Ms. Cross has it, that's good. That's good enough.
I sure, let's see. I don't believe I do, Your Honor.
Okay, let me give it to you. It's 979
Yes, sir.
227
Thank you.
3131.
Okay.
And if there's something that you need me to do or to hear or to clarify, whatever, just call me and then I'll come back in front of the computer and we'll bring you out of the breakout rooms and we can try to do that. If not, then we'll send three of you to the breakout rooms and think y'all do what you can do today. And when you're all ready to leave, you just leave.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor.
Do we have a court reporter available in the event that we should reach an agreement?
We do now. It's 3 o'clock and she was home. I tell you what, do you want to
I don't want to delay her Thanksgiving preparation.
right. Well, what I was going to suggest is since Ms. Banzett and Mr. Banzett are here today, if Ms. Cross, if you want to go through the approve up questions, so that testimony is already down. And so essentially all I'm left to do is get a decree, then I could sign that at any time.
Sure. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. So why don't we do that? Because have the court reporters here right now. You should be able to see her.
Give me just a minute to pull up my information sheet for the dates of marriage and
so I don't want to talk while she's doing something.
Also, Ms. Cross, when we kind of break out, I don't know if we're going to need maybe 2 separate rooms. I don't know if there may be times where we discuss something. I don't know if maybe you and Katie need to talk without me or how we're going to manage that. Is there a way that we can do that through this as well in case Ms. Cross and Katie, since she is representing Katie and not both of us, there may be times that she needs to speak with Katie. Is there a way for her to break out away from me if she needs to do that at all?
That's above my pay grade. Okay, so court reporter says she'll stay around for a while so she can help that.
okay.
So
Right,
just to let Mr. Banzett kind of know what's going on. So in any case, there's this thing called a docket sheet. And this is the docket sheet. So I'm just going to make a note here that you're all here by Zoom. Parties were sworn in They testified, they gave all the evidence I need to grant the divorce, but I'm not going to grant it today. I'm going to wait until I get a decree. And so if you all agree on everything and Ms. Cross prepares this decree and submits it to me, then that's going to be my sign that everything is done, then I sign it. And then nobody has to show back up.
I appreciate it, Your Honor. Thank you for that.
All right, so let me call this case. This is cause number 2022L 8128. In the matter of the marriage of Katie Banzett and Chris Banzett. Ms. Cross, if I can get you to identify yourself.
Yes, Carol Cross for petitioner Katie Banzett.
And Ms. Banzett, if you'd identify yourself. I'm doing this since we're on Zoom. Ms. Banzett, if you'd identify yourself.
Yes, Katie Bandit.
And Mr. Banzett, if you'd identify yourself.
Yes, Chris Allen Banzett Jr., Your Honor.
I get Mr. and Ms. Banzett to raise your right hands. And do you and each of you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Cross, you may proceed.
Thank you. We'd call Katie Banzett. Katie, would you please state your name?
Katie Lynn Bandit.
And you are the petitioner in the case before this court, is that correct?
Correct.
At the time that you filed your petition for divorce, you were a resident of Austin County for the preceding 90 days
Correct.
and the state of Texas for the preceding 6 months.
Correct.
You and Mr. Banzett were married on January 1st of 2012
Correct.
and ceased to live together as husband and wife on about the time that you filed your petition for divorce.
Correct.
You and Mr. Banzett have had one child born to the two of you, and that's your daughter, Emma. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you're not currently expecting another child?
No, I'm not.
You and your husband and I will be discussing the proposed terms for the agreement of the conservatorship, support, and access of your daughter, Emma, to be in a final decree to be submitted to the court at a later date. Is that your understanding?
That's my understanding, yes.
And that we will also work to see if we can come to an agreement regarding the division of the community property and the debts accumulated during the marriage. And if we're able to do so and put that in a proposed decree, it will be submitted to the court for an approval of those terms.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
All right, so Mr. Banzett, you're the respondent in this case. Do you have any questions that you wanted to ask the petitioner, Katie Banzett?
I do not, Your Honor.
All right, and then Ms. Cross, did you want to call Mr. Banzett for any testimony?
Just briefly.
Okay.
Mr. Banzett, you were present electronically in the courtroom when I asked your wife the questions regarding this case. Did you hear her answers?
I did, yes, ma'am.
If I were to ask you the same questions, would your answers to those same questions be the same or substantially similar?
There's only one difference in the question.
That you're not expecting a child?
Oh, no. I hope I'm not having a child. That'd be weird. We ceased living together in November of 2021 as husband and wife, but she was unable to file because she had to be a resident in the state of Texas for 6 months prior to being able to file.
Okay. And are you telling the court that you're willing to commit toward working toward an agreement for the resolution of the terms of conservatorship, support, and access of Emma?
I am, yes, ma'am.
And for the terms of the division of the community property and debts accumulated during the marriage?
Yes, ma'am.
And that if we reach an agreement to that, it's your understanding that I will reduce that to writing, send it to you for your consideration. And then once you and Katie have both signed it, we will then be e-filing it with the court for approval.
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing further of this witness.
All right, Mr. Banzett, you're representing yourself. Did you have any additional testimony that you wanted to provide?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so then I've heard the sufficient testimony to grant the divorce. I'm not granting the divorce today. I'll wait until I get a decree that's been signed off by Ms. Banzet and Mr. Banzet. When I get that decree, I'll be able to sign that. At that time, grant the divorce without any further testimony. All right, so is anything else that we need on the record today?
I believe not.
And Mr. Banzet, anything else on the record?
Not on the record, Your Honor.
All right, so then we will go off the record and this hearing today. So we're off the record now, and Ms. Lozano then will send the three of you into a breakout room.
And I'm gonna, if you let her know. I'm
Yeah, I
gonna-
tell you what, can you just unmute yourself so you
Sure.
can tell?
Can you mute yourself?
Oh, okay, so I'm going to mute myself and Ms. Lozano is going to give some more information. We just can't have two people in the same room.
You're gonna type phone number? Okay, sure.
There you go. We got an.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we
type
have
my
an
phone
echo.
number. Okay. Message. Okay, okay.
All right, she's just going to walk around the desk and
Thank you, by the way, Your Honor, for the accommodation on a
Sure.
holiday.
sure.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. And thank you, Ms. Cross, for being willing.
Sure.
Work through this.
Okay, I'm gonna in the message chat group, I'm going to put my phone number. If y'all can just text me or call me when you want to get out of it. If you have to come back to ask Judge a question, I'll be waiting for your call that way.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And Judge, if I don't see you, happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, yes. You too, you too. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. Okay. So
Oh, I'm in the breakout room, sorry.
Great. Thank you,
You're
Kareem.
welcome. No problem.
the one, you want to tell them, in case the individuals don't know what they have to do to get into the breakout rooms, or they have to accept the invitation or something?
Okay, one's already gone. Y'all will need to accept the invitation. Okay, she's gone. Miss Banzet, I'm fixing to assign you. Just accept the invitation to the breakout room, okay?
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so I will wait for them.
She hasn't gotten in there yet.
She should. It looks like she froze. Okay, there. So I'll just wait for them to see if there's any problems. And then they should be able to see it if I send a note saying, are y'all still talking?
Okay.
Get out of there. But then, and I'll just wait for them to go.
Unless they come back, then that's it. He didn't need an attorney. Sound like he represents himself better without an attorney.
Well, I just got fed by Mr. Anderson today, so I'm not gonna talk about
Yeah.
it. Only today. But even if we come back, we should not be back on the record, right? For me to close out, or should I wait?
I'd close out.
Okay,
This- you know,
we've already got the testimony.
yeah, I got the testament. The last thing is to just give me a decree.
Okay, that'll work. All right, y'all, Merry Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving.
Please leave your name and a message. You may start your message now. Press
This is Ben.
Hey, Ben, Dan Lady calling.
Yes, sir.
So just finished up with my Zoom hearing, so just wondered, are we gonna get back together or wait till later or?
Let me see if Travis can meet with you. I'm in the middle of trying to get an in-talk warrant wrapped up here.
Okay, okay.
1 second. Judge, I'm sorry. He's on the phone right now. Do you want me to just let him know that you called?
Yeah, please.
All right, I will do.
Thank you. Nope.
Real quick. I mean, surely there'll be more than 20 minutes trying to work out final stuff.
Yeah,
Can I run home to feed the dogs? Because I was gonna have to go home after I got off to feed them, because otherwise I don't want to feed them at 11 at night or midnight. But I'm gonna just show her and we can FaceTime if it's before I can get back, which I just don't think it would be.
yeah, no, I mean, I kind of doubt they're gonna need you at all.
Yeah.
It won't be 20 minutes. I just
Just go,
we'll go feed the dogs and come back.
and then come back. Okay. So don't worry about it. If something happens, and they call you, then you can FaceTime me. But I'm just gonna go feed the dogs and I'll be right back. Okay. And, oh, you want to put the pies in the car? You can go again? Morning.